Hi, Sam Apata here again. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode of me telling my story from childhood up until this moment. And if you have subscribed to my YouTube channel, thank you so much for being part of the community. And if you have not subscribed, please do so. So in this episode, I'm going to speak about or talk about post-secondary school and some of the things that happened, and hopefully I am able to fast track to my days in South Africa. So like I said, there was not much to talk about during my secondary school days, or high school if you like. Pretty normal, average, day-to-day routine, have fun, study, get ready for GC or matric if you like. Post-secondary school, my dad introduced me to an iron merchant, Isabelo Nigeria Limited in Abulegba. And I started working there. I was 18, 19, thereabout. And it was fun, I get to learn a lot. And that's also some of the things that I learned from working in that company also contributes to my entrepreneurship journey or experience. Great guys, that's actually my introduction to earning big money and spending, living quote unquote large, because what we were earning then was above average without necessarily going into too much numbers. It was above average. We were living okay, and most of us were young individuals. I think the age of the eldest among us, amongst the apprenticed, was probably 30 something, and you can imagine the gap. Like I said, I was 18, 19 thereabout in that year, and this was 1999, by the way. The company imports and sells iron rods and other building materials. That's where I get to know what BRC is, binding wires. We would sell 10 mm, 12 mm, 14 mm, up to 22 or 25 mm thereabouts. I think that's the highest in the range of the iron rods. And, they were manually counted, meaning, we had people that we called counters, I think, and they are the ones that would count the iron rods in bunch and then offload them after they have been imported. And when customers come to buy, they would equally manually load it for the customers, and we, the apprentices, are the ones that are going to then be counting. We had different ways or style of counting, and arguably I was one of the best in that. If I may say so myself, I was one of the best in that area when it comes to prudence and true accountability. However, a few years after working there, 1999, year 2000, then come 2001, something happened. There were new apprentices that were hired, and they messed up the entire inventory of the company, and that led to all of us being apprehended, and we were sent to the holding cell for 2 weeks. So we were all in the holding cell in Alagbado, if I remember correctly, for two weeks. Like I said, it wasn't a good experience, but at the same time, it's one of those things that you pay for lack of collective accountability, because in as much as many of us were not involved in the loss of inventories, we were all arrested, and questioned, and we were released in batches based on interrogations and innocence, if I may put it like that. But like I said, before that time, we would go to, we had fun because, again, we were paid. We would go to your Ep4 hotel almost every weekend, clubbing. That was when I was introduced to smoking and drinking, not excessively, but that lifestyle of partying and clubbing and all of that. We were released from the holding cell, and we were all fired. And that was when life hits again, because when I was working with this company, I had moved from home, living with my colleagues. And when, that incident happened and I was released, I had to move back home, 2001. And then I wasn't comfortable when I moved back with my parents, and I had to speak to one of my friends in the same street. This was in Olekere, Agege, Lagos State, Nigeria. And I had to speak to a friend, Segun Adebayo. Shout out to you, Segun Adebayo, because I wasn't happy at home. I had to look for a space for myself, and gracefully Segun spoke to his mom, and they both agreed that I could stay with Segun in his room, because Segun had his own room and I stayed with him. 2002, 2003. In between all of these, I was looking for admission to go to school. 2003, I got admission to Lagos State University, LASU. I was doing part-time computer science. While I was living with Segun and his parents in cement area of Agege, it was during this period that I met the likes of Alex, Somi, and through Somi, I was introduced to his elder brother, Lekon, and his younger brother, Okwe, and we all became friends, and the relationship has been growing from there even up until this day. But more specifically is my encounter with Femi Abati, and there was another older person in the area called Perez and Trinity K. I get to meet with these people, and these were people that then help us as young people to shape our mind. And we then had a peer group called Brainwashers, what a name, Brainwashers. And the mission of the organization is to bring young people together and be able to let them see life in a positive manner, because the environment where we grew up, wasn't that motivating. But these young adults, Femi Abati, Trinity K, and Perez, and a few others, were helping us, teaching us, things that would help us to shape our mind. They would encourage us to read. Femi Abati is a pastor now, and a business person also. They will encourage us to read. That was when I read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and that made a huge impact in my life, in the way I think. That was also when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. So this dated back 2003, 2004. And like I was saying, I got admission part-time computer science into Lagos State University, LASU, and I was studying there School was okay, was fun. I made friends in LASU, the likes of Tuji, Matthew, Tayo, you know, these are close friends, and a few others, you know, and shout out to them. They also helped me. We would study together, you know, and had fun together, visit each other's places. So 2003, 2004, 2005, and 6, those are my years in LASU, and within that 3 to 4 years, you know, we were only able to do 200 level because of strike, you know, and that's the impact of education. That's part of the negative impact of education in Nigeria. There was school holidays, and I went to stay with my friends in Surulere. I was staying with Sonny Oleja, Andrew Akpanke, and Larry Mamilo, you know. Larry was into music. I think he still does music, and Andrew was working for Ethiopian Airline, and Sonny was a travel agent. I was in 200 level LASU and going to 300 level. And one of the days, you know, Sonny returned from work, and he then asked me if I have a passport. I said no, and he said I should go and get a passport that, you know, we should check out South Africa, you know. He said it casually, but, you know, I was open to the opportunity, although I was never a person that was interested in traveling out of Nigeria. You know, it was never my thing. Even when I was making money, like I mentioned earlier, when I was working with the iron rod merchants in Abulegba, you know, traveling was never a thing that you know, I was interested in. But, you know, when he mentioned it, I was like, you know, why not? To be great to have, you know, an experience of traveling out of Nigeria. So I got a passport. I got a passport and gave him the passport. Shockingly to me, you know, a few weeks or days later, he, you know, presented the passport with South African visa. That was when it dawned on me that, okay, this is this is real. And he started looking for money for flights and the BTA, and, you know, I did the same with the hope to just travel and go and see, all with the potential to continue my education. Knowing that I've spent 4 years in LASU, and we've only done 200 level because of you know, persistent strike, you know, which is still a thing in 2023, if I may say so. At least the last one that lasted for 8 months, you know, the last higher institution strike. So I also looked for flight money, told my parents that I might be going to South Africa if I am able to raise the money for the flight tickets and the BTA. And luckily for me, I was able to raise the money, and then Sonny and I packed our bags. In fact, I had only one luggage. I think he had one also, I had 1 or 2, but I remember very vividly I had only one luggage. August 22nd, if I remember vividly, 2006, Sonny and I left Nigeria, Murtala Mohammed Airport, Lagos, and we traveled to South Africa. Please stay tuned. If you have not subscribed, please do so. I'll be telling you my journey in South Africa in the next episode. Thank you so much for being part of this episode, and for sharing, for liking, for commenting and all of that. God bless you, and see you in the next episode. Bye.